Hey everybody, before we get started today, I just wanted to let you know we had a little bit of technical difficulties with the audio recording on this one. My interface shut off halfway in between, or in the middle of the podcast, so you'll notice a pretty obvious cut in the audio and then it picks back up, but just bear with us here. We're still learning the technology and getting a grasp on things, but it's a fun episode, so I hope you enjoy it. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of Wild and the Whites podcast. We're here today again at Casa de Buckley.
Welcome.
And we are going to talk a little bit about what a trophy means to all of us. Since we're outdoorsmen and since we hunt, we fish, there's a lot of people that I think don't hunt and don't fish that see trophy hunters, quote unquote, as being kind of a controversial thing, and I think I would agree with that in many ways, and I disagree with it in many ways too. So we're going to kind of just talk about what a trophy means to each one of us individually, and talk about what that term can kind of mean to some other people, because I think that a lot of people think of a trophy, so to speak, as just being hunters or fishermen that go out and kill something specifically just to have the antlers up on the wall, right? They don't care about the meat. They don't care about the life that they took. They just want to decorate with it, so to speak, right? And I would say all three of us 100% do not agree with that whatsoever. No. We've already all established that.
I'm standing around here.
We've all established that we're in it for food as like the primary thing, right? And I think that it's important to talk about for our listeners to kind of understand where all three of us come from on this. It'll help them understand us a little bit better if we talk about this, right? So do you want me to start off, or do you want to? Who wants to start?
I'll go from the bottom. Start from the bottom. Now I'm here.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, no. For me, it's very much the idea of what I'm proud of.
Okay.
Like for me that's not a trophy, it's just a pride, right? So coming into it with very little experience, the naiveness of it is that I'm comparing myself to the two of you, other friends of mine that have hunted, and the fact that, you want to get that high number of points on that deer, or you want to get a big pound number on that bass, but at the end of the day
I love listening to you describe these things because it's just so not your realm of explanation.
No, it's not.
And it's perfect
I know
for this
just
podcast.
enough to get in trouble or to say the thing that's like, that is not how you say that.
But like, it's perfect for what we're talking about right now. Yeah,
It's great.
It is. Yeah.
So yeah, like I've told the story of my good friend Steve. He had to go out of state to hunt with his brother-in-law, and actually got his first deer after many, many years of unsuccessful hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes back to the point of, was it successful? What were you going out there for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in his mind, he wanted to put the food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
He wound up getting, I don't remember the number, but it was a very low number spike horn.
Okay.
So
And-
two.
If it was a spike horn, it's a 2-pointer.
Wait.
Okay. All right.
There we go.
So there we go. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
better.
We'll guide me through this.
Yes. Yes, we will.
So everybody picked on him because it was a low number, 2 horns. So everybody picked on him, but he was proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was his first one, and everybody's like, "Oh, should have waited." And he's been hunting for 6, 7, almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's been waiting. And that's honestly the first deer that he's told me that has crossed his path. And for him, that was his trophy.
Absolutely.
He got food for the table. His wife was proud of him. His family was proud of him. He was proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting because there was a lot of other people outside of that were given a lot of hard time.
There you go.
Including me. Including me, who has no experience and no right to judge him, but I've known him for a while, so I was able
Right.
to razz him a
Razzle
little
a
bit.
bit.
Yeah, you got to find
Yeah,
an
you
excuse
gotta-
to razz
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But- plenty of excuses.
At the end of the day, you still, he was proud of it, and I thought that was very much indicative of my sense of what a trophy is. It's pride,
Mm-hmm.
right? So going into this, that first fish that I catch, I'm going to be proud of that.
Yeah, why not? Absolutely.
Whether
It
it's
should be.
2 pounds, 5 pounds, 20 pounds, I'm going to be proud of it.
Man, if
20
he
pound-
catches a
20
20-pound
pound
fish off Sandwich Notch Road, I really want to.
I want to see that.
I
I want to see that thing. It's going to be in the books. Don't you worry.
We'll be recording.
All right.
So I'm just saying that no matter how big it is for me, that's the trophy. That's what I consider.
No, that's perfect because so going into hunting season, obviously our next season is deer season, right?
Bear starts before that.
well, bear
bear and
starts-
archery.
Yeah, I mean 15 days separate them. So yeah, absolutely. Our next major season will be bear for 15 days before
Yeah.
opening our archery starts for deer here in New Hampshire. And you've talked to me a little bit about how you are actually really into the idea of turkey hunting, right? So going into deer season specifically, because your focus has been wanting to go turkey hunting, what would you consider a successful deer season? And that doesn't have to be like, what's your definition of a trophy, but coming out of deer season, what would you say would be your definition of a success this year?
For me, going into this, it's going to be an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
If I go into the woods and even see a deer, I'll be excited.
Mm-hmm.
My goal for this year is to just understand how to do it.
Okay.
Right now, I could go out in the woods and sit there, and I'm just in the middle of the woods. I might not even
It's a wonderful
have,
place to spend a little bit of time.
It is.
It is.
As
yeah.
a matter of fact. But it's what's the goal going into the woods for?
Yeah.
Am I just going there to clear my head, or am I going to fill my freezer? Right. So
Right.
that's that whole thing. But for me, it's going to definitely be for next season. Will I be comfortable to go out by myself?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
And there's a whole different range of being comfortable. Like, are you comfortable just going out locally, or are you comfortable going
Oh,
out
yeah.
like a couple miles by yourself? Like, those are two totally different ball games, because you go out a couple miles, you don't have cell service. Then we're talking about you doing the drag by yourself. You're trying to figure out how you're going to get it back. who knows? You could be out there all night, spending the night with the deer, trying to get it back.
Oh yeah,
And-
absolutely. Or you got to string it up and leave it there for a little
Exactly.
bit.
Or you make it stringing up, making sure it's out of the bear's grab and out of the coyote's
Leave it
grab.
on the ground and cover it up with your coat and come back in the morning.
Yep.
Yep.
So there's a whole side to that comfortability that you're looking for.
Everything you
following
two
year.
just said means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Covered up with your coat? Ew. That's my coat.
You know why you would do that?
Because your coat's got your scent on it. And
Yeah.
You're going to cover
Yeah.
the deer. Like, it makes sense, but I've never heard
the
that.
coyotes won't come after the deer if it's got your scent on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stringing it up.
That's a theory,
We're
at
gonna
least.
hang
Yeah.
it.
Just like doing a bear bag
Yeah.
in the woods
Yeah.
when
Like,
you're camping.
The moment you said it, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And then it made sense because
Right.
that's not the way I'm thinking. But these are the things that's going to make this year successful for me.
Yeah. Cool.
Again, if I'll bring my rifle, but I don't need to.
I'd rather you bring your rifle and I don't bring mine. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because then if I shoot something, I have to drag it.
No, I'll be right there by your
Right.
side. But
Yeah.
I'd rather watch you shoot something than me shoot something.
Absolutely.
And that's my big thing
Yeah.
in any season.
Yeah.
So if I can get more people out in the woods,
yeah.
I'm not the most successful hunter. I've never claimed to be.
Yeah.
But if I can get more people out there, more people out enjoying it, that's at the end of the day, that's my goal. Like,
Yeah.
we're all out there for different reasons, or maybe we have similar reasons, but to watch everyone enjoy it and
Yeah.
succeed in it
Yeah.
and do it safely.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, you remember not this past turkey season, but the turkey season before that, I helped Lonnie get his kid,
Yeah.
his first turkey.
Yeah.
That, like, my season was done that day. That was youth weekend of turkey season. Like, before anything started, my season was done. It was a success because I saw how happy that made him. You know, and like to have a kid like that get so excited about being out in the woods and want to keep doing it. Like, that everything was a success
Once
about
you've
that.
brought someone once
Yeah.
and you watch their enjoyment of it,
Yep.
at the end of the day, you can't eat the horns. Like you and I have said that
Oh,
to
God,
each other
absolutely.
plenty of times.
Yeah.
I would rather bring someone else new out,
Yep.
and even if I don't shoot anything for the entire season, and I've gone plenty of seasons empty tagged, like I haven't tagged out, but I've gone out with friends. I've gone out with people that have never been out before,
Right.
and I've had fun watching them learn, watching them see
Yeah.
new things that they never saw before.
Yep.
And that's what's going to be fun about bringing Buckley on
Oh,
and bringing
totally.
him out there, is getting him in now to see these things that you and I have seen and
Yep.
we've figured out or learned on our own or learned from someone else.
Yeah.
Right on.
So
Yeah.
Paul, why don't you talk, since you're kind of like segueing into it anyway? Talk about your own personal version of what a trophy is to you when you go out in the woods, bear hunting, deer hunting, whatever. What makes you tick out there as to your decision making on what you're going to harvest and what you're not going to?
So we already started talking about it last year. I passed up on a spike horn. It was opening day of muzzleload season. I saw him start moving. I pulled up on him. I was just still hunting. Realized it was spike. Put the gun down. It's opening day. One, I want to see that deer grow.
Mhm.
I want to see the deer succeed in its environment. Watch it, because I've had cameras in that area for 5 years now.
Mhm.
So to be able to watch that deer hopefully grow and change over years will be great. That's something I enjoy to see.
Sure.
It's opening day. I'm looking to put meat in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
As I just said, can't eat the horns. Like the points on those tines is a bonus to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm more looking for the weight aspect,
Okay.
as most of us do up here.
Yeah.
In New England, most of us hunt by weight. It's not by points. You go down in the southern states, they all go by points and basket racks and like.
Yeah. If
the
you ask me
perfect-
how to measure a rack, I have no idea.
Exactly.
No idea whatsoever.
Down south, it's all about bread baskets. You get that perfect symmetrical rack, all that stuff. Up here, it's not that.
People say
It's who
I
can
shot
be in
a 150-inch deer. I'm like,
Yeah.
means nothing to me. I have no
No
idea.
clue.
No idea what that means whatsoever.
Yeah.
What?
How many pounds?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to up here is how many pounds. Like everyone up here, like the big thing up here is to be in the 200-pound club. Find
Yeah.
a deer in the 200, shoot a deer in the 200-pound club. That's something good.
Yep.
As Jeff Doyle does, tracking 200.
Oh
like,
yeah. Yep.
all those type of things.
The Big Woods Bucks guys.
Big Woods Bucks
Yep.
guys. All
They
that
shoot
stuff.
massively weighted deer.
Exactly.
And the thing is if you look at it, a lot of the time, people don't realize, I think some people don't realize that if you look at a buck and it's got a big rack, a lot of energy goes into building that rack. And
It's
so,
small weight.
yeah, very often you're going to not have the heavy deer have the big racks because of the energy takes so much sustenance to build that rack, or build up that body. So it's usually
And
one or
other
the
thing
other.
is
You're
the
not
food.
Yeah.
It needs to eat enough food to
And-
be able to build that rack. But guess what's going to take the downfall on that is their body size.
Yes.
We don't have the food plots. We don't have the
No,
farms
yep.
and all that they do down south.
And what
the
are
f-
they eating too?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, is it just your regular browse, or are they getting into more caloric diet that can actually get that
Help grow
energy?
that stuff.
Yeah.
But back to what we were talking about, my big thing for me, a trophy at this point in my life, is one. I don't want to shoot a small deer because if you think about it, it's only you got 60 pounds of bones, probably maybe more. So you shoot a 120-pound deer, you're talking 60 pounds of meat. I'd rather build that up and try and get something a little bigger, fill the freezer a little more. It's a deer that's lived for a little longer. Hopefully, if I'm using my scouting techniques and trail cameras actively, I'm watching that deer grow throughout
Sure.
the year. So I want to be able to see that progression over the course of a couple of years, and then maybe get that deer that I saw 5 years ago, get them down the road. Like,
Yeah.
keep moving forward. It's the thrill of the hunt in a lot of ways. It's watching every little aspect, seeing how things change each year, seeing how things grow. I'm not just out there to shoot something the first time I see it. Last year, the only deer I saw was that spike horn.
Yeah.
And I said straight up after I saw it, I even called that at the beginning of the season. I
It was
said,
gonna be the last
saw
one."
that deer, that's going to be the last deer I
Yep.
see.
Yep.
And that deer hung around me for 15 minutes. I sat there and watching him. He came in. I didn't shoot him. I started walking away from him. He circled me. He came back in. And I sat there watching him again for 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
And we just kept having stare downs. And then he walked away again.
Yep.
And then he came back. It was like nonstop. And I know some people that gave me crap for letting him walk. And then there's other guys that are like, oh, you did the right thing. So it's all about what's right for you.
Right.
Shut out everyone else's comments. Shut out
Oh,
everything
yeah.
that anyone else says. Do what's right in your heart and what's right for your hunting not environment
Experience.
experience
Yeah.
and what you're looking for out of the season.
Yes. Yeah, because hunting is a really serious thing.
Yeah.
It's a heavy thing. And it has so many aspects for us of being lighthearted, and just there's so much therapeutic about being out there and everything too. But the ultimate, taking of a life is such a heavy thing that it's very specific to the individual what their experience should be in order to get in their full experience from it, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I razzed you for that because I'm like, dude, you had a deer right in front of you and you talk about being a meat hunter, but you still were going after the horns, right? So, like, but that's just because you're a good buddy of mine and I got to razz you about a little something. I didn't, I completely get where you're coming from and I would never fault you for doing what you want to get your experience out of the season. If having tag soup at the end of the season is your game and you're cool with that because you have a specific thing in mind, then that's your game and that's what you want.
Last
right?
year I had 10, 12 different bucks on cam that I was like,
Yep.
any one of them would have been a great buck for me. Not the best buck, not the perfect buck. There was a couple of them, obviously, that would have been like
Yep.
once in a lifetime bucks.
Oh,
but,
yeah, you showed me some of those pictures.
Yeah. But other than that, there was a handful of them that I would have been more than happy to take. But that little 120 pounds skipper that was in front of me, it wasn't in that time.
Yeah.
It's opening day of muzzleload season. We still got a full season of rifle left. Archery season was still going. Like, I'm not gonna take that tag and fill it on that deer when I
Right.
know there is plenty more possibilities of deer that have lived longer, are
Yep.
healthier, or
Well,
have
and
more
then
meat
you're
to 'em.
done too. You're
What?
like, you're done.
Yeah,
Your tag's done. You're like, great. I want to hunt some more, but I don't have a tag.
I'm more out there to just be out in the wilderness
Yep.
and out in the environment. Like, I love just being out there and seeing what's going on. Even watching the squirrels, as much as they annoy me some days.
Yeah. Oh no, I hear you.
But if they're having fun, that lets you know that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, because you're being quiet, you're
Yeah.
being still. If they're right in front of you, till they start tripping over your head when you're sitting in the tree stand, that's about the only time you want to really
Yeah.
get rid of them.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Or you're pretty much a tree stand is the only spot where it gets really annoying when they're around. Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of the nice parts about the situation that you guys are in. I'm in is that we don't need it for the freezer.
No.
Yeah.
We'd like it for the freezer. There's definitely some people that they get to that last day and they wish they took
Oh, yeah?
that spike horn, that low weight one, because that's all they've got. Where we've got that opportunity to not rely on it. I think that's kind of that big difference between what a trophy is.
That was going to
Yeah.
lead into my next topic, like talking about all this bear.
Mhm.
So for a long time, I've hunted bear since I got my first bear at 12 years old. Since then, I've always wanted to go for a heavier weight. And don't get me wrong, I've shot bears that are way less. My biggest bear was, I don't know if I remember right, 260 dressed. I've shot bears under that. I've shot bears. That was the biggest one. But I've shot bears closer to that. Nowadays, as we were talking about in our second podcast, like the bear population, the average weight is 180, 160 pounds. So trying to go for that bigger weight bear, you're doing a lot more work. You're going out there a lot more. You're trying to either, whether you're baiting, still hunting, hunting over dogs, you're putting in a lot more effort to try and find those bigger bears because they're not as frequent. They're dropped out. So at the end of the day, if your trophy is to fill your freezer and get some bear meat in your freezer so you have a variety of meat, so you have deer meat, venison, you have bear meat, like at the end of the day, you're going to shoot what bear's in front of you. And at the end of the day, right now, that's the best thing for the herd.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right now, management is going to be a big thing for our area, like we were talking about in episode 2. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's like, we can do an episode talking about baiting too, right? Because a lot of people don't like bear baits. I personally bear bait, and I think that it's in our area it's needed. And a lot of people don't understand the amount of days that I spend on a bear bait and don't see anything. People think like, wow, that's cheating because the bears just come in and eat. Dude, there are plenty of days where there are no bears on that bait.
Somebody's bored.
Welcome to the show.
We got our problem stepchild over here, Cannon,
So what happens when you have a year-old puppy that just wants to play?
who needs some attention.
Chill.
Okay, I'm done.
Anyway, we can keep going. He's just gonna hover here.
All right,
Chill.
There he goes.
Yeah, you're fine. He'll calm back down. He's always just looking for something to do. I'm hoping to get him on some birds this year, which will be fun. That'll be a trophy to me, just getting him to grab one, like go out pheasant hunting with him and get one bird down.
Yeah.
Like that'll be great for me, like seeing him actually work.
You've been putting some work in with him on retrieving a little bit too?
Yeah, I've been doing, I got one of the 22 blank launchers and the shots don't bother him. He'll go grab whatever he sees fly out of the sky, whether it's the ball, the bumper decoy, any of that stuff. So hopefully, obviously he's not a pointer, so
Right.
if I can just get him to spook up the pheasant or partridge this year, and
He's good at running around and spooking things up, I bet.
oh yeah,
Right. Yes, you are.
but it'll be good. And then maybe down the road get him into some ducks. We'll see.
You want to lie down? You want to lie down with
No,
Uncle Zach?
I'm good.
All right.
He's full of energy, you know.
He is. Yeah, so for bears, you say that you keep trying to go up in weight every single time.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just seeing what's out there. I know there's big bears out here. I've seen them. I've seen the bigger bears in this area, and those older, mature bears. They're like, it's insane to think of how long they've actually been around,
Yep.
because they've figured out how to live through hunting season. They've figured out how to not get hit by cars. They've figured out how to stay out of people's trash. Most of those bears are actually up on the bigger mountains, up on the ridges, away from people. As soon as hunting season hits, you watch them disperse and they disappear. It's insane to watch. Like, I've gone out on training during training season with the dogs, and we've been walking behind these 400-pound bears, and then come hunting season, we never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, where do they go?
Right.
Like, you were just here a month ago, and now all of a
Sam
sudden you're
Squinch.
gone.
Same switch. Was it Trailer Park Boys?
So to try and figure out, okay, where they went, and then get back on them, that'd be something killer.
Yeah.
Like, and at the end of the day, to be able to figure that out and learn it,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, that's a trophy to me. Because
Yep.
we figured it out. We figured out where they went. We got back on them, tracked them, did whatever. Whether it's baiting and they came back in, it's running dogs and you found where they were because the dog hit a hot trail. Like, there's plenty of times we've walked in the woods with the dogs and tree a bear, and you're like, it's a 125-pound bear. I'm not taking that. Like, let it grow.
Yep.
And we pull back out and we watch it come out of the tree and run off or come charging back at us because it's all pissed off. And
Mm-hmm.
you sit there and the dog's barking at it and the thing, they just have a little standoff and then it takes off.
Yep.
Like, it's exhilarating. It's fun. And to watch that type of wild animal be that close with you
Mm-hmm.
and to have that interaction that you never really get on a day-to-day basis. Like,
Yep.
if you had a bear sitting out in front of your house, you're not going to get that same interaction. You're going to walk out and it'll probably get scared off and run off.
Right.
But right then, it's so full of adrenaline. You're so full of adrenaline. Like, you got that same mentality going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting and fun to run with.
Yep.
And then just any bird is a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
I love going bird hunting. You know that.
Yeah, so talk to me about like your version of a trophy for bird hunting. What is that like? Because I don't, besides turkey, I don't bird hunt. So
I don't even at this point look at duck hunting and pheasant hunting as a trophy. To me, I go on the aspect of it's time with my friends. I get bonus because I get meat in the freezer or I get extra food to throw on the grill for a cookout. Like, hey, I got some duck breasts, we'll throw them on the grill and cook them up. But it's to go out and do what we're doing right now. Sit around, hang out, chit-chat talk about hunting season, talk about our plans for hunting season. And at the end of the day, you quiet down for a couple minutes, you call them in, you watch how they're flying in. If they start cupping their wings, great. You got shots coming on. If not, and they're flying over, you let them go.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep going about your day. Like,
Yep.
you're not just sitting there pumping rounds out of your gun. Like, yeah, there's plenty of guys that shoot at the sky and hope they hit something.
Yeah.
But that's not the mindset. That's not the way, and at least in my opinion, that you should be doing it.
I'm
Right.
just here to shoot my gun.
Yeah.
Just happy
Go,
to be here.
go to a range if you want to do
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Go to a range. Go
Yeah.
shoot clay pigeons if that's what you want to do.
Right.
Like, you got to be able to make some ethical shots. And starting out, did I make some shots that probably weren't the best bird shot like I ever could have made? 100%.
Right.
It's fun watching people also come out in that atmosphere.
Yep.
Bird hunting is also a great way to introduce people to hunting
Yeah.
because you can have the conversations. You're not sitting there trying to be really quiet or disciplined about certain things. You can work on some of the other disciplines of hunting
Right.
in bird hunting.
Yeah, and I mean that's why like I've talked to you about beginning with turkey hunting. I think it'll be great for you to get us out with us this fall. And if you want to, pick up the reins a little bit, carry a gun, whatever, this fall, we'll rock and roll with that.
Absolutely.
But a lot of the way that I think turkey hunting too is a really great way to start it out. It is, yeah. But you do have to be quiet for the turkeys. They have one heck of a set of ears on them.
And they have one hell of a set of
Eyes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Camo for deer hunting is, controversial on whether or not it's actually useful, but for turkey hunting, yeah.
I've seen more deer in blue jeans than I have seen
Right.
in camo, so
Yep. So no, I think it'll be a lot of fun because it's so interactive too. You know,
Yeah.
like that's why I want to go out west elk hunting, because it's almost like turkey hunting for like a 900-pound turkey. You know, like but you get a lot of meat.
Well, and
you
that's
know,
why I like duck hunting so much. It's interactive.
Yeah,
You're
the calling.
You're
Yep.
watching. You can
They're called
see
back.
how
Yep.
they're quacking back at you. You're doing everything right. You know if you're doing everything right or you're doing everything wrong. They're either going to fly over your head or they're going to be right there.
yeah.
If you got your spread set up right, they're going to land right where you pictured them to land and where you're set up on.
Yep.
So
I mean-
it's really enjoyable to see. You know if you're doing something right or wrong.
Sure.
Whereas
And-
deer hunting, bear hunting, any of that other stuff, you sometimes don't know.
Oh, more
'Cause-
often than not, you don't know.
And like I
Because
said earlier,
you don't know if there was a deer around and you spooked them, or if it
Right.
was.
I
no
guarantee
deer.
the amount of times we've been out in the woods, 90% of the time we've walked within 50 yards of a deer and didn't even know it.
Probably.
You know,
I would
maybe
be
even a
surprised.
higher percentage than that, because the amount of times that they will just sit and watch you go right by and not move, and then they'll move once you go by. Yeah, absolutely. But
you can
Um,
do everything right and still not be what's considered successful.
Well,
to who? Right? That's what we get. That's what
Yeah.
we're getting at, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what is a success, right?
For me, I would be successful.
Yeah.
For someone like Paul who's looking for that big bear, that wouldn't be successful.
It depends,
no,
right?
Right,
at the
right,
end of the
yeah.
day, though, because
What are you
I'm
going
looking
for?
more for the experience.
Right.
I love being in
Yeah.
the woods, whether I shoot something or not, or I put meat on the table. Like that doesn't matter to me.
Right.
If I see something, it doesn't matter to me. It's going out there and learning.
Yeah.
And seeing what
Learning
else
is
is out
huge.
there to offer. Like going out and seeing what's growing in these areas, what's changed in these areas over the course of the years. Like we get big snowstorms, big windstorms that come through. Like
Oh, yeah.
seeing the trees that just get taken out. You all of a sudden walk up and a microburst hit a certain
Yep.
area that you never knew happened.
Some of the low areas we hunt with the floods,
Yep.
that changes,
changes
everything
every
like
year.
crazy.
Every year.
That spot down below your childhood home that we go to a lot, down on the river,
Yep.
where you duck hunt and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Well,
I
it's
went
like-
down there a couple weeks ago, and it's completely,
Oh, it's completely
different.
different. There's
Yeah.
a huge log dam now up there.
Yeah,
And then that was like last year we went out to go duck hunt that spot and couldn't even walk there.
yeah,
I started walking in water like 20 steps before I ever used to hit water.
yeah,
And I shined my flashlight out, and next thing I know, I'm like, we can't keep going or else we're going to be up over our waders.
right.
Like, it's way too deep now.
Yep.
So we had to change our game plan and then did the hunt for the day. But it was like interesting at 4:30 in the morning, realizing that that's what's going to change the tone of our hunt. And it's just an exciting time. Will you
Mhm.
chill out? You're being a distraction.
Yeah, but the cool thing about those floods too is it knocked away all the old sign.
It did.
So now we're gonna just have nothing but new sign to look at down there.
100%.
Yep. If there is anything. Yeah, I mean, for me, the way that that I look at trophies is,
Yeah, Zach, tell us about your feelings.
should I?
Yeah, tell us more.
All right, Dr. Phil. The way that I agree with both of what you guys have said, with my own little twist on it.
A little lemon twist.
Just a little twist on it. No, for me, like I try to just be thankful for what was given to me. You know what I mean? So when I go out there and it's almost like the devil's advocate, Paul, to what you were talking about with that spike horn, you know, there's something totally to be said on how you did it. And I completely agree. But there's also like a devil's advocate side of it too, of it's like, well, maybe that was what was meant for you.
Oh, 100%.
You know
I
what I
was
mean?
honestly thinking that
And-
last year at come the end of the year, I'm like, all right, I saw that deer 3 times that day.
Yeah, if it's
was
coming
that
back
the
around.
deer that I
Right.
was supposed to take
Right.
last year?
Right. And then there's the aspect of just being thankful that like there's people that go through a whole season and don't see anything. So like maybe be thankful for what you were given, you know, and it may not be a ton of meat, but it's something.
Yeah.
And
My other big thing is, as you guys know, I live in a condo. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have... If I'm going to take something right now, in my mind, I got to figure out how, one, I'm going to take care of it all.
Yep.
Where I'm going to take care of it. Two, where am I going to store it all?
Yep.
So, for me right now, I'm looking at making it something that's going to be maybe even a lifetime animal.
Mhm.
Like, I don't need it right now to feed me.
Yeah.
Myself, my girlfriend, I don't need that. Right now, I'm looking at it as in the enjoyment of the hunt,
Yep.
the enjoyment of being outdoors, that type of stuff.
Right.
So, who knows? I might go 5 years without shooting something.
Right.
It's already been 3.
Yep.
So, or 2.
Yep.
So, and I've seen
Station
plenty
fridge.
of what?
The station fridge is getting
The
filled.
station
right.
fridge will be filled if something happens. That's for sure. The shift will eat well. But
Oh, walk
I mean,
on
that,
sucker.
you guys both know I shot a fork horn last year. It was 159 pounds, so a good bodied fork horn. But that was the 3rd deer that I saw in 4 days. And the other 2 bucks that I saw in that stretch of days were both larger in comparison. Obviously, I only was able to shoot at one, and I missed on both shots. But that deer was harvested a couple weeks later, and it was a 195 pound 9-pointer.
yep.
And then the other one, I don't know, but I mean, it had more of like a taller basket rack to it, and I just saw the rack of that thing moving down by the swamp. I couldn't actually see the body of it, but just from the rack, you could tell that it was a larger deer. And so I still didn't hesitate on that fork horn because like it was just too perfect. And again, it's like all reaction to me. It all happens so fast.
Oh, it does happen.
Like this is something you'll learn. Like it's like you have to, and I think being first responders, we're very good at making those snap decisions, right? So like you have to hone in on that because it's not all. I mean, sometimes like my first deer I ever harvested gave me like a wind up and a half waiting for her to come in, but not always does that happen. A lot of the times it's super fast.
It's like Brad's first buck last year.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
shot that 7-point, that beautiful 7-point.
Yeah, that was a gorgeous deer.
And that's his first deer.
Yep,
And I had been following that deer on camera for months.
yep,
And it was fun to see Brad actually get that deer.
Yep.
And I enjoyed going up there and just helping him drag, just like you came up
Yeah.
and helped out. Like, it was fun just being up there with him and him getting that rush and that
Totally.
feeling.
Yeah, I remember
That
you
was-
sending me the Snapchat, and I'm like, "Hey, you want help dragging?" You're like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Of course I'm serious. Yeah,
Get
where
up here.
do you want me to be?"
So, that goes back to my whole thing. Like, I just enjoy more getting more people out there
Right.
than honestly me harvesting anything
Right.
myself at this point.
And like for me, like I'm not gonna sit here and say that like, man, I really wish I shot that 195 pound 9-point, right? Because to me, that's demeaning to the fork horn that I shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's me saying that
Wasn't good enough.
Yeah, that fork horn's life didn't mean as much as that one would have meant, right? And
Yeah.
that's impossible for me to say. And I feel so blessed that I got anything because there's so many people that just don't get anything, right? And fate, the deer gods, whatever you want to call them, right? They blessed me with that opportunity and it all came together. And this upcoming season, I may not even see a deer, right? So
I doubt it.
I mean, but honestly, you don't know,
No,
right?
you never know. You never know.
So you just have to be thankful for what you're given. And if it's a fork horn that's standing in front of me, if it's a spike horn that's standing in front of me, it'd be really hard for me personally to not just say, okay, thank you, and harvest it and be done, right? And that's just my own personal belief on it, right? And I don't know what you guys think about it too, but going back to people talking about how the putting it up on the wall, putting the antlers up on the wall, a full mount, whatever it might be, is trophy hunting, right? I have the Euro mount of that fork horn up on my wall. Excuse me. I've got skulls from the does that I've harvested. All right, so we just had some audio problems here. I had everything shut off on me. So we're just going to pick up a little bit where we left off, and I'll try to edit it as best I can through that weird glitch, but hope everyone can be a little bit patient with us on that one. But we were talking about the actual physical quote-unquote trophies, right? Having them up on the wall and everything. I keep, I have the Euro mounts. I have skulls from my does. I keep at least the beards from the turkeys that I shoot, but I've got a couple of fan and beard mounts too. And I'm sure to some people they'd probably think that I'm trophy hunting in many ways, because I
There's
have
definitely
these
probably people
quote
out there that
unquote
would think
trophies on the wall, right? So I'd like to just kind of talk a little bit about why I do it, and that it really has to do with, again, going back to how heavy it is. Like, that animal gave up its life so I could have sustenance. And when I put a portion of that animal up on my wall, then I can consistently remember what that animal gave up for my benefit and be thankful for it, right? So every time that I see that doe skull, every time that I see that fan mount, every time that I see my Euro mount, whatever it might be, even if it's just keeping pictures, right? And I see those pictures, I can remember what that felt like and how thankful I was in that moment, and then continue to be thankful and continue to memorialize the life that was given up. And, out shed hunting this year, I found that moose skull with the antlers on and everything, beautiful, almost completely preserved. The mice had gotten at it just a little bit, but really not much. And I couldn't leave it for the purpose of, like, what I just said. Like, that moose died, and now I'm going to put him up on my wall.
The crazier thing is you had him on camera earlier.
I did, yeah. I had him in the fall right before the moose rut started, and the area that I got him in, there was that big bull that we caught the tracks on, and I know that there's been some game camera photos, not from us, but other people have seen this massive moose bull in that area, and I think that younger moose got in a tangle with him, and I think that's probably how he died.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Because the rest of the carcass was down there, and the ribs were pretty chopped up, like he had taken a good hit to the torso, and there ain't much that's gonna break a moose's rib cage like it was. So besides a bigger bull moose,
but more to
it could have been hit by a car too, because it was pretty close to the road. But I feel like we would have heard something if a moose that size got hit by a car. I feel like we probably would have heard about that.
Been on top of the car.
Yeah.
we would have gone.
Yeah, but I now get to that moose is no longer rotting and forgotten.
Yep.
That moose now can be up on my wall and remembered, right? And just his life mattered in so many ways, and now he can be up there, and I get to enjoy him forever, as long as that moose skull can be passed down.
You can remember those experiences.
It's a
and that's
story.
my big thing. It's a story.
It comes back to this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the story. It's remembering, because I bet you could look at each one and be like, this one I got in this field or in this stand, and you remember the feelings that you had when you were experiencing that stuff. And those are the stories that you're trying to memorialize, not just the life, but also your experience there, and how difficult it was.
I have my first bear head mounted that I got when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
I have it mounted, and I can vividly remember that hunt with my dad, sitting over bait at 12 years old with a 20 gauge Remington 1100 in my lap, like watching it come in, just seeing how everything happened. And then even after the hunt, like the drag, going through butchering, all that stuff. And that having that bear head mounted, that's a story that's on the wall that I can remember just looking up at it, and it brings me back to that time with my dad.
Yep.
So to put any of those mounts together and have the skulls, any of that stuff, it's the experiences that were had to achieve that mount,
that too.
That skull. That's what you're really remembering, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, a lot of people, I know a lot of guys that have their first deer, their first bear, any of that stuff mounted, and it's for that same reason. Especially around here, I think a lot of the guys around here, they're not after the big number of points. They're not after points. They're not after inch spread.
Right.
They're not after high weight. They're after the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone out hunting with so many of my buddies, and it's not even. We're not out there to get anything. Like, if we do, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
We're out
Right.
there to hang out with each other and just have a fun time.
Yep.
So,
No, I mean this has kind of become like a hunting heavy podcast so far, but I think that these topics that we've touched on specific to hunting really show a lot of who we are as people.
Yeah.
You know, if we talked about the other stuff that we're into, fishing and, you know, fishing to a degree, but, you know, we all like to hike and that kind of stuff. Like, I think that because of the heaviness that goes along with hunting and the philosophy that goes along with it and yeah, you're right. And the controversy that goes along with it, that this is probably the best way to kind of introduce all of ourselves, right?
yeah.
So we just kind of wanted to do this to continue that, storytelling in many ways, but just to kind of continue that introduction to all of us.
Well,
But
down the road, we're going to do plenty more podcasts whether it's talking about maple sugaring,
Oh, yeah.
skiing, hiking, camping,
Yep.
hiking in the whites, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's plenty of things to do here, and there's a lot more things that we can all do in the White Mountains that I think there's a lot of people that don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that us locals
Yep.
do in the whites that you don't do in other areas.
Right.
Being someone that's never lived really anywhere else, I don't know if that's the facts, but like just going down and seeing my parents down in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
talking to their friends that are down there, there's things that we experience up here that is just crazy to them down there.
Yeah.
You put maple syrup on snow? What?
You put
Right.
hot dogs in your evaporator? What?
What's a red hot dog?
What's a red hot dog?
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, growing up in the city, this is all new, all new, and it's been a wild 20 years growing up here.
Carhartts look good on you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been wild, and it's a lifestyle that I would never want to change.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I don't know of any other places. You know, I came up here after growing up in southern New Hampshire. I came up here because I went to Plymouth State, and like once I got in this area, I never wanted to leave. And the more and more I've stayed here, this is such a cool place to live, especially because where we are here in the Whites, we're still pretty close to the lakes region.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the best of both worlds. We got
Yeah.
the lakes right there, and we got the mountains right here too.
Lakes
So,
to the left, mountains to the right.
oh yeah,
Here I am.
Canadian
stuck in the
border
middle
to
with
the
you.
north.
Exactly.
It's great having the lakes as close as we do. Like you 100% hit the nail on the head. We have the best of all the worlds.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to travel far. It's 15 minutes for us to go to the lakes, or it's 15 minutes for us to be in the mountains.
Yep.
Like you want to go fishing one day and go hunting the next up on a
Right.
ridge, you can do both.
Yeah.
Or it's 2 hours to the seacoast, an hour and a half.
Yeah. 2 hours to Boston if you want to go to a Bruins game, right?
So
It all.
I don't know really why else you'd go to the city.
No reason to go down
Right.
to the Commonwealth.
yeah. But yeah, no, we can fish in a lake, or we can fish in the sea, or you can go over to Lake Champlain and go fishing over there.
Yeah,
you know.
that's not a long drive either.
It is.
No.
It's perfectly located right here.
Right.
So
Yeah.
absolutely.
So coming up, I mean, we've got some ideas for the podcast. We'll probably all do some more just sitting down and picking a topic and kind of just talking about it ourselves. But I know we're going to be pulling some more guests in here to talk about more specific things. And just for the listeners, it's not all going to be about hunting. A lot of it's going to branch out into different aspects of it. We've got some stuff already kind of in the works for talking about very different things from hunting. So I just wanted to kind of say that so that people don't think this is all going to be
100%.
about hunting.
Like you said, the hunting is the heaviest thing, and it's kind of the thing that weighs differently on everybody's personality. Like
Yeah.
It sets a tone.
Yep.
The
But-
huntings, we want to get that side of this story
Mhm.
out there so they know that this is part of it. But at the end of the day, it's not the whole
Story
idea
at all.
So
and the
much
whole
more.
story behind any of us.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we're going to be pulling everything from people that are part of search and rescue in the whites to, I, from my history in state parks, I can work through getting some representation from state parks to come in and talk about it. Like
Homesteaders. I mean, how many people do we know that's got cows and goats?
Right.
And they live off their personal land.
Yep. We've got a lot in the works here, so it's going to be really cool, and we're going to kind of try to tie everything together into what happens up here. And hopefully our listeners from elsewhere around that don't live here in the Whites can be like, wow, that all really does happen in there. In that region, it's a relatively small region. When you're talking about some of these states out west, where the entire state of New Hampshire is the size of a county out there, so a lot happens in a very small little area here. Yeah.
No, at the end of the day, the goal of this whole Wild in the Whites thing is to just showcase what we do in New Hampshire. Yeah. Or what people do in New Hampshire.
Yep.
Whether it's
possibilities.
Us, anyone else, there's endless possibilities. We can. Someone wants to message us and say, "Hey, I'm interested in what you guys are doing."
Yeah.
Go ahead, hit us up. Let us know absolutely. Let us know what you're talking about, and we'll see if it fits in.
Right. And with that being said, people can find us on Facebook at Wild in the Whites. We got a Facebook page that's getting up and running here. Everything's new, so it's just getting started. So if you want to look us up, Wild in the Whites, and follow us, and we post kind of day-to-day adventures on there, and people can contact us through that platform, and comment on any podcasts or anything that we do. To get a hold of us, we can reach out to you if you have any interest in coming on and sharing what you do here on the Whites. We got a lot planned, but there's a lot of stuff that I think that we probably don't know goes on too. When we'd be happy to learn about something.
Absolutely.
Something I was thinking about when we were talking about other things that go on. I know people at Gold Mine right here in town.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right here on Mad.
Yep.
And that's a whole nother topic.
Absolutely.
Another storyline we can bring up and go down.
Yep.
Yeah. So, doing these interviews, doing these conversations, just hanging out.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go over.
We all share this beautiful patch of wilderness that we have here in central New Hampshire, and the more we can showcase, the more we can all come together and realize how precious it is, and that we need to save it and help conserve it in every way that we can, because ultimately we all utilize it, and doesn't matter what you're utilizing it for. We wanna all come together and protect it and take care of it, right? So,
yeah.
100%. Well, anything else, guys?
I'm good.
I think that's pretty much it for right now on this topic. So we'll wrap this up and catch us on the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Have a great day.
Later.